talking to a camera is weird, and I'm self-conscious because I'm usually way too blessed with clear skin. And I'm blessed with sunshine. So I have been postponing this video for absolutely a month and a half, but honestly maybe a full year. And I'm going for it. So I am ready, with the cars going by me here, to put myself out there on YouTube consistently, not just randomly with little videos. And I heard someone say something today and I gave them some advice, and I'm a huge believer that the advice we give to others is always whatever we're telling ourselves, and I'm gonna take it, damn it. So she said, hey Alexa, you're wonderful. She said, I know I want to do YouTube eventually, just I'm not ready yet. I was like, if you know you want to do it eventually, you want to do it, do it. And I was like, Annie, it's time. So here I am. My name is Annie. I grew up in St. Louis. I went to school outside of Boston. I lived outside the Bay Area, or in the Bay Area, outside of San Francisco. And now I'm coming at you from the big island of Hawaii. And for the past, since November 1st, today is December 12th, 2017. So, and you betcha I'm getting a head start on belated Vlogmas here. I've been living out of this car that I'm in since November 1st. And I will be the first to say that living in a car is something that for the 99% of my life I would have said, I would never do that, that's ridiculous, that's crazy, that's hippie shit, get a job, all of the above. And here I am doing it and loving it and hating it and learning so much in the discomfort of it, and in what it's like to not have a nest, to choose to not have a permanent nest, and to have this mobile nest and be on my own. I'm not doing this with someone else. I don't have a boyfriend in here with me, and my mother watching this is gonna, I think, not like that line, because to her it would be safer if I had someone in here with me. And people bring up the safety of living in a car or a van a lot, and it's definitely not something I personally would feel safe doing in any environment. Do I believe people would do it safely in places where I wouldn't? Absolutely. Like, I think it just depends. It's so case by case. Here in Hawaii and like on the Gold Coast of Australia, New Zealand, some of these warmer places, there's sort of a culture of people living in their cars for some period of time, or people who do it for longer periods of time. And there's beaches and there's more public restrooms, and yeah, I mean, that's my best thing. If you haven't, I mean, maybe this sounds like, oh, you don't know because you haven't done it, and so if you're like, Annie, you sound shitty, there we go. But if you haven't been to one of those places, I can see where you're like, that's ridiculous to live in a car. What are you doing? Like, get a place. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm saving rent money, and I'm like getting to travel around and see things, and I'm learning what it's like to let go of some control. So in my formal YouTube introduction here, I will also mention my labeling things. I used to be really into Myers-Briggs, so I'll start with that one. I still am into it, but I used to like really hold it up as law, and I'm an ENFJ. So some of you were just like, what does that mean? What are those letters? Go Google Myers-Briggs test. There's free tests online, take it. Feel free to post your results to share and start getting the internet vulnerability out. I'll share a quick little story. This one goes out to Beth, and that is that I used to keep and then lost when I lost my computer, and then restarted when I got my dad's old computer, restarted my lists, of keeping like tabs on people's Myers-Briggs, keeping a list just for myself and my own nerdy, nosy whateverness, and like loving of labels. Maybe we can analyze this later. But I kept a list of that, and then I lost it when I lost my computer, and I was honestly like more bummed about that than losing all of my school stuff, which is pretty funny. And I've been restarting it, this time also adding in people's astrology, which, much like the car situation, is something I used to be very like, that's ridiculous, like really extremely against and like looking down upon. And now I really feel like there's validity in everything. I feel like all of these different personality things and ways of being really teach a lot. So with that being said, I'm a Capricorn, so car life has been really interesting for someone who thrives on structure and rigidity and likes to know what's going on when and like where things are. And it's been a lot of learning to flow. And it's, I mean, you know, it's the lesson of being on the Big Island here, and it's also the lesson of being in a car and doing them together. I've just been here almost 2 months now, so I'm still adjusting to being here, and it's been interesting to adjust to both the car and this new place at the same time. It definitely feels like it's accelerated growth, accelerated change, and on the one hand I feel sort of like really cliche sharing that, you know, like, oh, you know, I went to Hawaii to find myself, or this year has been so transformational for me, like this has been the biggest year of growth in my life. And what's funny about this is like this literally has been the biggest year of growth in my life, and I'm slowly learning that I can say things like that without having to say them sarcastically, or I can say them sarcastically and laugh about them, and it doesn't change what is or what has been or what will be. Like, I'm slowly accepting the hippie shit as who I am, one step at a time, embracing it, and it feels really good. It feels really great. So I'm still living in the car. I'm still doing the thing. I'm still here, and now I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable here and put myself out there for people to receive however they're going to receive. And I get to practice saying and remembering that that's on them. However they take this, however they take me, however they respond, has literally nothing to do with me. Nothing at all. So that's that. Where else can I describe? In my very J-ness and Capricorn nature, I was on the pre-med track for most of my life. I wanted to be a physician. I thought, I like people and I like science and I can do science, and this is how I'm gonna make the biggest possible net positive impact on the world. This is how I'm gonna give back. This is what I'm gonna do. And I took all the classes. And then up to the point of the MCAT, and there's more story there of like not wanting to do it, and then wanting to leave college early and not getting to, first world pains, hashtag. All of these things, and then before taking the MCAT I was like, you know what, like, fuck this. And it was part of this transformational shift, this big shift in my life of saying, you know, this rigid path, this one thing that I thought I wanted, and sometimes still I'm like, oh, how comforting to have like such a set thing, isn't what I want at all. Not even sort of. It's me, that's my way of wanting stability, wanting security, wanting safety. It's not actually me doing what I want. And I'm very privileged and so honored that I get to be in a position where I can do what I want. I can say, I'm gonna go to Hawaii. And well, on the one hand, I agree with all of the manifestation things, which I think are, you know, power of positive thinking coming back in a beautiful way, and that people can do whatever they want. We really do make our own reality. I do think different people have different obstacles, different challenges, and where I am right now, I don't have any dependence. I don't have any set routes. I'm able to have this more flexible lifestyle where I'm just supporting myself and doing different part-time jobs. I'm working online for Elise of Raw Alignment, and that's been such a valuable learning experience to ghostwrite and to watch how you build up a platform, how you market yourself, how you promote messages that are real and very potent and need to be heard by people, and also how you put yourself out there and be vulnerable to share and to let yourself be seen. It's been really an amazing lesson, and Elise just is an amazing person. So if you watch this, Elise, shout out to you too. And I've also been teaching yoga, which has been really amazing, and something that has always been sort of on the back burner of my life, and in my shifting away from academia into this more intuitive and letting myself feel things self, I let myself put yoga first and put yoga as a priority in my life, and I did teacher training. I actually came out to the island to kind of suss it out and see what it was like, and then stayed away for 5 months before coming back and being like, my body's never felt so good anywhere. And I again come back to that feeling like a cliche, because on the one hand, like, people come to Hawaii, people go, there's specific places that call people who are wanting a lot of growth and change and transformation and synonyms. And in some ways I actually like to get lectury for a minute here. I have a lot of thoughts about how, well, hippies have always come to certain places, or people who are into self-growth or whatever. I think in the 70s there was this shift to California. There was this migration of people being like, I want to grow my own food and pot, and I want to live off the land, and I want to be with like-minded people, and that drew a lot of people to California. And I think in this generation, for people 20s, 30s, there's a lot of people doing that, coming to Hawaii and being like, I'm going to go find myself in Hawaii. And that's why, on the one hand, I kind of feel like a cliche. Then the other thing, just to keep dumping it all here, is I struggle a lot with putting Hawaii on the internet, with using Hawaii, using the immense beauty of nature here as a way to get views, to get people to look at stuff and to look at you, and, you know, how do you respect the land and show it off, and I don't know, it brings up a lot of questions and a lot of, you know, this land was taken, and before that this land was taken, and before that this land was taken again, and so being here as someone who's just moving here, well, on the one hand it is part of the United States, on the other hand it is not. Like, it has a different history, and it also has the same history of the US, because also there we came and kicked Native people off and took over, and so it brings up a lot of interesting feelings, and that's been part of my hesitation, and one of the many excuses I've used not to share my life currently, of like, well, I don't want to tell people to move to Hawaii, I don't want to encourage them to come here. On the other hand, I watched people, and that was part of what led me here, and so it feels inauthentic to deny that we are influencing each other, and it also feels inauthentic not to share, and none of this is really resolving anything, but I'm getting on 15 minutes here, and it's definitely been very therapeutic to talk, and I'm learning a little bit, I guess, why people like to do this. It's like one-sided talk therapy in some ways, which I kind of feel about stand-up comedy too, although I've only done a handful of open mic nights. But they were like that as well. I was like, this is talk therapy without a response, or like with maybe like a response later from someone. So who knows? I wonder, I'm just gonna talk it out for 30 seconds here. I wonder if I'm gonna edit this or just leave it as 15 whole minutes. Do people watch that long, or like click around? I guess, like, if I'm really interested in someone, I'll sit and listen to them talk for a while if it's engaging. So maybe that's part of the experience. Definitely a weird thing in, like, people using YouTube like TV, or the whole YouTube community. There's so many different, I'm just learning how many channels there are, and I'm gonna cut this right at 15 because for whatever reason that feels right. So, bye.